Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order on March the 5th, 2024. It's our regular meeting. As we gather today, I would like to acknowledge on behalf of this committee and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We would like to thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and support for their rich history. And we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Just a couple items that I have. February 21st, I was on a Zoom meeting for doctor recruitment. There's no doubt we'll have more discussion when we go through our budget meetings. I think one of the phrases that I'd like to keep in mind is, keeping in mind we have to protect our residents. So I'm just going to leave that with you. February 28th, I had a Finance and Administration Committee meeting. One item that came to light was the county was about to purchase 33 defibrillators. They struck a deal and they ended up with the same price for those units over 10 years. Apparently, and I didn't know this, they have a 10-year life and they start changing over after the 5th year. So what the deal they struck with the company is that during that 10-year period, it's the same price for the defibrillators as they go along, so which is a good deal. February 28th was a county council meeting. A couple of discussion points that we were having. The lack of people going to the workplace, it's a major problem, and everyone's seeing it. There will be an email coming to all the mayors and CEOs in regards to see if we have lands for housing. So, does any member have any pecuniary or financial interest to declare? Haven't seen none. Okay. We'd like to welcome Greg Belmore, Manager of Human Resources for the County of Brantford. I felt this was a very important for us to use for educational purposes. Bon Cheer Valley had done this 2022. North Algona, they were done in 2023. Madawaska Valley just finished this year. And the BLR is discussing compensation and pay equity right now. We are trying to look after our best assets, our people. Greg will outline the county's HR services, which includes job descriptions, pay equity, grid reviews, the impact of COLA and performance increases, and how they affect the grid, amongst other things. The show is yours.
Resolution to extend the time limit.
Resolution?
Moved by Maureen McMillan, second by Harold Levine, that council for the Township of Killee, Haggerty and Richards hereby approves to extend the 15-minute time limit for delegations to 40 minutes plus 15 minutes for council questions and comments for the County of Brantford Manager of Human Resources, Mr. Greg Belmore's presentation.
All those in favor? Carried.
Excellent. Well, good evening, and Mr. Mayor, thank you for having me here in council. Appreciate it. As mentioned, I'm Greg Belmore, the Manager of Human Resources of the county. This evening, I'm going to run through my presentation to talk about shared services and the shared services in particular that the Human Resource Department can offer to the township, as well as talk about some of the points that the Mayor has already so we use for the next slide. So when I click on my screen, there's nothing on yours. After the last municipal election took place, County Council undertook a strategic planning exercise that was facilitated by Eric Lockhart to create a new strategic plan for the county to help guide us from 2023 through 2026. One of the pillars that came forth from that plan was the use of shared services. Shared services refers to the centralized business functions or processes that can be shared amongst organizations. These services are typically designed to provide cost-effective and efficient support to the various parts of the organizations. Instead of each municipality having an HR expert on staff and a dedicated person for HR, these services can be consolidated into a centralized area that serves the entire county. There's several reasons why organizations choose to use shared services. Number one being cost reduction. By consolidating the HR function into a single unit, municipalities can achieve economies of scale and reduce overall costs, allowing them to focus on core activities So by outsourcing non-core functions like HR to the county, municipalities can free up their own resources and staff to focus their time and energy and expertise on core municipal functions and helping get the township's mandate. As well, there's enhanced efficiency and agility by centralizing HR functions to improve the efficiency by leveraging specialists, technologies, and best practices that may not be available at the lower tier level. A shared services center like the county can adapt quickly to changing organizational needs or regulatory requirements, enabling the organizations to remain agile and responsive. There's also improved service quality in that a dedicated team will have the expertise and resources to deliver high quality services more efficiently than a decentralized unit, and this can lead to improved service levels, faster response times, and better satisfaction among the internal stakeholders, which are the employees. There's also scalability and flexibility. Shared services can easily scale up or down in response to fluctuations in demand and organizational size or structure. This scalability and flexibility makes it easier for organizations like the township to adapt without significant disruption to operations. For instance, we see if there's a lot of turnover at a certain time, you may need a lot of help recruiting for a number of weeks, but then your demand will peter off once you had satisfied those positions and refilled them. So it comes in ebbs and flows, and instead of necessarily having a resource on staff, you can tap into 5 days of service 1 week and then no service for a number of weeks, depending on the needs of the organization. We do this with the town of Renfrew right now, as well as probably to a large extent, they use about 3 days a week on average of HR services. And we actually have a fully dedicated human resource professional, and I'll talk a little bit about the team in a minute, that by County Council resolution in 2021, we reorganized our whole department, and one of our 4 human resource coordinators is dedicated solely to servicing lower tier municipalities, and they're funded through cost recovery essentially. And the town of Renfrew has a contract that takes about 60% of the time, but we've also done work with Petawawa, Admaston Bromley, Greater Madawaska, Madawaska Valley, and a number of other municipalities. So some of these are factors why County Council believe this model of service will become relevant today and more prevalent in the future. So the next slide. So the County HR Department has 4 human resource coordinators. They hold educational backgrounds, credentials, and experience across the whole municipal HR function. So we have people that specialize more in our labor relations side of things and more recruitment experts. Sort of covers the whole gambit of the HR world. We also have 2 occupational health nurses on staff, an admin assistant, and we usually try and have a co-op student of some nature to provide them a learning opportunity in HR. The County HR Department is able to assist lower tier municipalities in a number of areas, which are on this slide here, and I'm going to go through those in more detail in the coming slides. So the next slide is on recruitment. So what the county can offer here with recruitment is the full spectrum. This is sort of a menu of everything that's available, and we can provide this a la carte or on hold from beginning to end of the recruitment process. So we can assist with preparing and updating job descriptions. I'll talk a little bit more about that in the next slide, to ensure they're up to date and scored appropriately for salary grid placement. This is especially important now. I'm going to say this is the tightest labor market, and the mayor just talked about trying to get people to come to work. It's the tightest labor market we've ever seen. The jobs are there, the workforce is not. So ensuring that our salary grids and placement are accurate and competitive will go a long way in ensuring we can fill our positions. We can post advertisements on our website for any municipal jobs, and we already do this free of charge, and I know a number of municipalities take advantage of this. Whenever I go to career fairs and at On Track or at Algonquin College, I'm always telling folks, I give them a business card with a QR code that takes them to our careers page, and I tell them that this is a one-stop shop for any municipal job in the county, because although we may not run the competition for you, we're happy to post your job on our website that refers people back to your site as a great resource to anyone that's looking for any municipal job in the county. And that we can do free of charge, and we're happy. And it's good for us too to be able to show anyone the wide range of jobs that are out there, but also geographically it's a huge county, so there's work everywhere for folks if they're looking. We can also manage posting advertising on different resources. We actually have a special LinkedIn account that we pay, I'm going to say, significant amount of money for it to be able to advertise, so it pops up when people, for professional jobs when they're looking on LinkedIn, so that it shows up right at the top of their feeds to help us again assist in creating a larger dragnet, not just in the county, but all across Ontario and Canada even, to try and get some of the more difficult and harder to fill positions, like planning folks that are few and far between. We can also provide applicant tracking, and we create an applicant portfolio for the management team, which includes a summary of the applicants and a matrix that essentially matches resumes to skills, education, and experience against the job description for the position. This assists the managers with eliminating unqualified folks out of the pool and focusing on the cream of the crop. We can also coordinate completion of behavioral assessments, if that's a tool that folks like to use, like the DISC assessment or a PXT Select model, which is offered through the Delphi group in Pembroke. So we coordinate with them to have those assessments done. We can also coordinate interview processes to remove the administrative burden from staff and are able to participate on interview panels as well. We can help conduct reference checks for candidates at the end. And lastly, the most important part is we can help draft employment contracts based on our templates. In the last few years, the county has updated and had legal assist us with creating multiple contracts for management and non-management positions, full-time and contract and part-time positions, because there's a lot of nuances that are specific to them. I was just actually yesterday, Tammy was at the county for a Clerk's Treasurer's meeting, and I was discussing, we just changed our templates literally again because a court ruling came out saying that the words at any time in a termination clause actually causes it to be an unenforceable termination clause. So we have to modify our clauses yet again to remain compliant, because it's an ever-changing landscape between legislation or the rulings that are coming out of courts. The next slide is on pay equity and job evaluations. So as I'm sure you're aware, the township, like all municipalities, has a legal responsibility to maintain pay equity on an ongoing basis. Unfortunately, this is not a one-and-done exercise, but one that requires reviews of job descriptions to ensure they're always up to date and scored and paid appropriately. Staying pay equity compliant involves ensuring there's no gender or other discriminatory bias in compensation practices within an organization. At the county, we review our job descriptions annually as part of our annual performance review process, but it may occur more frequently if there's circumstances like a significant change to a position that occur partway through the year. The county has a policy that requires we conduct a full classification review a minimum once every 5 years. This review includes ensuring that increments on the grid from step to step are consistent, because sometimes they come out of whack when we put our COLA increases against them, as well as to ensure that the difference between the different pay bands is appropriate to ensure we don't end up with wage compression. In our most recent update, we determined there was actually an inequity, not a pay equity issue, but an inequity issue due to not using our harmonized pay rates. So we used to go and take a total salary and divide it by 2080 hours, which is a 40-hour week, or by 1820 hours, which is a 35-hour week. But the way our scoring system works is you earn points based on your educational credentials, the experience required, the working conditions of the job. There's about a dozen different factors, and we would determine your placement in the band based on that. But then if you were working 40 hours a week, we would divide your salary by 40 hours or by 35 hours, which is not really equitable, because the points that say you that work in the office are worth the same as me that work in public works from a points perspective, but because I have to work 5 more hours a week than you do, I get paid less at an hourly rate. So we actually changed ours so that they're not harmonized, and then it's a consistent hourly rate, and if you work more hours, you get paid more money because you work more, that was the concept that our consultants said we needed to do for an equitable grid to be created. Once we do have changes to job descriptions, we then review them against our scoring tool. At the county, we use the Templeman tool, and I looked through our records, and it appears you guys use the Stevenson-Kellogg tool here, which ensures internal equity and pay equity is kept, again assigning points to the relevant factors to arrive at a total score, and then that score dictates where you fit on your pay bands. When we conducted our full review last time, we outsourced it to a firm called Gallagher, and it was a multi-faceted outsourcing. It was one, again, make sure we're pay equity compliant, but also to look at market competitiveness against all the upper tier municipalities in Eastern Ontario of similar size to the county. Again, this was done, I guess, at the beginning of the labor shortage, and it's, again, more prevalent now than ever to have a competitive market placement. The other thing that it does is it removes any internal biases that might be present. We have a small committee at the county of myself, one other HR person, and the CAO that reviews any changes to job descriptions and does the scoring. That helps make sure it's consistent. If it's the same 3 people always doing it, we know how to use the tool and we're consistent in our application. However, every once in a while it doesn't hurt to have it taken out and have outside eyes look at it to make sure that it's in compliance. It also helps make sure that the employees can trust that the system is working properly, that it's sort of getting third-party validation, as well as county council feeling comfortable that equity is being maintained. Another piece that the county can do is we're able to act as representatives should the township require assistance in dealing with the pay equity commission, which we've done for many lower tiers, and we're actually currently doing it for one of your neighbors right now. The next slide is on benefits administration. KHR is not a member of the Municipal Benefits Committee, but the county has for a number of years operated the Municipal Benefits Committee, which is essentially a group created for purchasing power of a benefits package. It helps provide favorable rates as well as a pooled risk amongst all of the members, which again helps keep the costs down. Currently we have 14 members in the Municipal Benefits Committee, and I'm happy to share that North Alberta Wilberforce will join in the next couple of months. Again, for those that are members, we use Manulife as our benefits provider, and we're able to assist with benefits administration, help manage benefits problems because we're very familiar with the Manulife platform. We have 900 plus employees at the county, so in terms of onboarding folks and offboarding folks, we do that 15 times a week. Whereas someone in your organization, if there's only 40 employees that may be on and we're 20 on benefits, we only enroll someone once a year. And if you don't remember or don't use it frequently, you might have questions. That's somewhere where we're able to help because, like I said, we do it a lot every week. The next slide is on workplace investigations. So why does this matter? So individuals need to be held accountable for their actions and decisions, and to ensure that there's adherence to township policies and procedures, as well as legal requirements of the Occupational Health and Safety Act. So the county can provide support for internal investigations, i.e. your own management team is conducting them, or we can act as a third-party investigator, or we can actually provide recommendations for third-party investigators because we've also ourselves outsourced. Depending on the type of investigation, we've outsourced some of them as well. The county can help ensure that your investigations are in legal compliance, as well as following all sort of best practices and ethical standards during investigations. Another key component when doing investigations is about maintaining confidentiality throughout the process to protect the integrity of the investigation and the privacies of the individual involved. The county can help with this because we're a removed party as opposed to having someone in the workplace. It's more difficult to maintain confidentiality if it's one of your peers or your colleagues that you're investigating, but a third-party person that's not interacting, it's easier to maintain confidentiality. There's also impartiality and fairness in investigations that wants to make sure that all parties are treated equitably and that their findings are based on objective evidence. And again, this is a key facet that the county can assist with. Another thing is about conducting investigations in a timely manner. This is important to minimize disruptions and mitigate potential risk on the organization. As well, depending on the investigation, if it's like a harassment complaint, the Occupational Health and Safety Act actually sets a standard of 90-day turnaround for the completion of an investigation, barring any sort of unforeseen or mitigating circumstances. That sometimes can be difficult for organizations to manage to fit that extra tight deadline on top of their already busy workload. So again, outsourcing that, we're able to help them come in and, with 4 HRCs, it allows us some flexibility to be able to respond relatively quickly to those needs and help out. And I wrote a little thing here. A good saying is that justice delayed is justice denied. So, completing investigations in a timely manner helps ensure that justice can be carried out. And lastly, on investigations, ensuring that an adequate investigation occurs can also help you in the future should there be an Ontario Human Rights Code complaint as a result of whatever the item is that's being investigated. The next slide is on performance management and dismissal. Discipline and dismissal. So the county is able to assist managers with performance management of their employees, whether it's a performance improvement plan for those employees that have demonstrated a need to be improved, or just their annual performance assessment process, or creating letters of expectation or coaching which are non-disciplinary in nature. We We also have a list of courses that are offered by third parties that can help remediate individuals who may be showing undesirable behaviors to help get them on track. In accordance with progressive discipline, we can also assist with written or verbal warnings, suspensions, and up to termination if necessary. The county has a large portfolio of templates that can assist with managing many unique situations. Because I'm going to say there's no two that are identical, but there's a lot of similarities among situations that we're able to sort of recycle templates to save time, effort, and money. We have templates for terminations without a cause, suspensions anywhere from 1 to 30 days, depending on the severity of the infraction. We're also there to coach and support management throughout the process, including attendance at any of the meetings, whether it's a disciplinary meeting or a dismissal meeting that may be assisted required. The next slide is on corporate policy creation and interpretation. So the county has an extensive policy database, and I'm embarrassed to say that it's over 80 policies long. So it's large. And it's there to ensure that we remain compliant with the Employment Standards Act, the Occupational Health and Safety Act, the Equity Act, etc. The county is able to review any of the existing township policies to help make sure they're in compliance, or to provide county policies as the baseline for you to create your own. The county also has a library of legal opinions related to policies, which we can leverage for the township's benefit. We can also assist with interpretation of policies as needed. I know historically many lower tier municipalities did use the county's policy serve as the baseline, so the interpretation of it is probably quite similar, if not identical, to our own, so we're able to help out with that. And lastly, we can help ensure that the township has important policies and programs in place like succession planning, performance management, and health and safety to meet all of the requirements. The next slide, this is a fast one for you folks. It's about labor relations in a unionized environment. And I'm going to say you guys are really lucky that you don't have any unions, so I'll just pass right over this. If you did have a union, we could help with collective bargaining and grievances, etc., but we'll move right on to training and development. The county has been developing a training database of courses that we can customize for township needs and internal use. The county is also able to deliver training to township employees based on our training content. Examples of this training could be harassment in the workplace, how to conduct investigations, how to conduct performance assessments, as well as accommodation requirements under the Human Rights Code. And those are all trainings that we've actually delivered either internally at the county or to lower tier municipalities already. We've also developed custom training at the request of municipalities on topics like giving feedback, having difficult conversations with people, and performance management again. The county is happy to act as a coordinator for group training sessions. Actually, yesterday at the session Tagna was at as well. We're looking at setting up some group training for minute taking and parliamentary procedure, as well as we've heard from municipalities they'd be interested in Joint Health and Safety Committee 1 and 2 training. So those are things we're looking into coordinate sort of at the county level, again, for economies of scale, because you might not need to train a dozen people in Joint Health and Safety 1, but you might need one worker rep and one employee rep from your organization, and it can be expensive if you were to try and book the training all in-house as one individual. We're almost at the end, the occupational health side. So the county, as I mentioned, employs registered nurses to assist us with our occupational health and workplace injury management. They assist with return to work process to get employees back to work as safely and quickly as possible. We also offer support in checking the ergonomics for office spaces. One of our RNs had the credentials, and we've let it lapse, but had the certificate to be able to, I would say certified ergonomist and something like that. So the knowledge is still there, maybe just not the credentials to be able to sign off on it, but she's happy to come out and look at any workstations for ergonomic settings if needed. And we can also help with employee wellness initiatives. Now that COVID's over, we're trying to revamp some of our wellness initiatives for employees. Another important thing about our occupational health team is that the county has strict SOPs in place concerning personal health information. Therefore, when using the county for assistance, any HIPAA liability is reduced for the municipality because you're not actually holding the personal health information here of an injured or returning to work employee, and rather it can be kept in our database with all these locks and checks in place. As well, should an injury or accident occur, we can provide guidance and assistance with critical incident reporting to the Ministry of Labour. Unfortunately, that is something we know how to do. We obviously don't want to be experts in injury reporting, but we do see a few with 900 folks. as well as ensuring your compliance with Occupational Health and Safety Act, and this could include doing investigations for workplace incidents and accidents. How does it all work in terms of billing? So we use a fee-for-use model based on our cost recovery bylaw and any direct expenses incurred. So if we pay the Eganville Leader for advertising a job, we just pass that along through. We just sort of take care of the administration of all the advertising in the back end, and we just go through one bill for your county department. Our rates are currently between $75 to $100 an hour, depending on the member of the HR team. And that's based on last year's bylaw, I think. Coming up at FNA on Thursday, they've got the new bylaw coming through. But when you look at these rates compared to what it would cost to have an HR consulting firm or a legal firm, so I can tell you that our legal counsel, when we do engage them, depending on the firm, costs anywhere between $400 to $600, almost $700 an hour. So I would say our rates are reasonable. I know we're not lawyers, but we have a large repository of information that's come from lawyers that we can use to help be better cost effectiveness for the municipality. And should the municipality want, we can always have a lawyer that will check our work at the end, as opposed to them investing the time to write a 5-page letter. We can write it, and they only spend 30 minutes to vet it at the end. And I'm going to say we're pretty adept at that now. Our team's been together for 3 years, and we've written a whole lot of letters. The next slide is essentially that what we do. We create a little service level agreement with municipalities, which the staff can present to council for approval. This outlines usually the scope of work that the county is being engaged in, as well as the terms of the work. And so I know I had 40 minutes to present, but I'm well under my time frame, so I'm happy to take any questions now that anyone has. Or
Let's start with him, Brian.
Nothing.
I'm good. Bill? Bill?
No, thank you, Greg.
Yeah, that was very thorough, thank you.
I have a few.
okay, hopefully I can answer.
How often should performance reviews be done?
So we conduct our performance reviews right now annually. We just implemented a new HR system last year, and we would like to convert to doing performance reviews more frequently than once a year, because we find that if you wait and only tell someone once a year their feedback, it doesn't really provide opportunity for improvement throughout the year. It should almost be an ongoing process between the manager and their staff, so that they know, if you're on the right track or not, to allow time to correct before you get to the end of the year when the formal PA is done. And usually, the formal PA at the county, if you're already at job rate, that's what determines whether you achieve your merit pay or not, which is sort of the 6th step on our pay scale. So at a minimum, we do it once a year, because that's, again, like I said, what determines the merit pay, but more frequent feedback is always the best thing.
Municipalities that have gone and worked with you, what exactly have you done for each municipality? Like just sections or a complete package, or?
I'm going to say for the town of Brentford, it's a complete package. So
Okay.
we do their recruitment, onboarding, and we do their labor relations, just did their libraries collective agreement, dismissals and things like that, restructurings, trainings, writing of policies. For other places, it's been mainly recruiting, and I'm going to say the higher level recruiting, Petawawa West CAO, Adamaster Bromley CAO, in Madawaska Valley we did some training, we're assisting with some pay equity pieces and performance assessment training as well that we did in the fall last year. And say it's a spattering. Unfortunately, when there's terminations, we usually end up getting called to do terminations, so there's a number of municipalities that use us for that. Whitewater region, a lot of recruitment. We did their CAO actually there as well, but ongoing. My folks are there tomorrow doing interviews again, so like I said, a wide spattering.
So just say generally speaking, to look after job descriptions, and just the guiding light type thing, like the format, do a job description, do a sheet for performance reviews, work up the salary grids. I think we submit job descriptions to you for the salary ranges, etc. What would ballpark how many hours would you need, or that type, like, I'm just trying to gauge.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna commit to something on the spot, but what
No.
I can do is I can go back and I can, so for instance, when the town of Petawawa wanted us to do recruitment, they asked sort of the same question, what's it gonna, from cradle to grave, how much time do you think it'll be, so we can budget or plan accordingly? So what I can commit to is tomorrow I can sit down and all those items that you've asked for, I can put a thought to, you know, what is one job description being created, evaluated, take, and then that way you can multiply it by however many you need or want done, so that you can come up with an idea.
And to
Is that fair?
and to format like salary grids for each position, would that be also something,
So the
you
grid,
wouldn't be able to do that until you have a job description, right?
well, I think, so your grid probably exists in some nature in that, so we have I looked for our files today, and we've got job rating records, which is exactly what we were talking about, which is where a job description is sent to us. We take the Stevenson Kellogg tool, which has the different categories to apply points against it, which come up to the total. All of those total points are what group like jobs in terms of, I'm gonna say value, it's value in points, it's not value of the person doing the job, but it's the value of points assigned to that job. And essentially the bands on your grid will have, at the county it's every 100 points. So band 1 is 0 to 100, and 2 is 100 to 200 points. So something similar probably exists in the background.
What increases the grid? Performance increases or COLA?
So the whole grid overall increases with COLA. So for instance, the county passed their COLA, and the new grid came through as bylaw number 1 last month. Every position on the grid, step 1 through 5, and the merit pay all went up by the COLA. So it raises everything all at once, because you want to make sure that if you didn't follow that sort of consistent approach, you would end up with differences that aren't consistent amongst the steps. So our steps between 1 and 5 are 3% increments. So essentially what we're saying is, by the time you reach job rate, which is 5 years at the county, you've gained enough experience to be worth X amount of dollars, but we back that number up by 15%, and that's what we hire you at. So that, you know, as you gain experience over the 5 years, by the time you reach the job rate, we say that's, you know, now you're worth that to us because you put in that amount of time and have the experience of the county. And then you also want to make sure you lift everything together, because if you were to raise band 1 and 2, but not 3 or 4, you can create wage compression issues depending on where your managers sit versus your staff. And you can find, and we do see this, that even at the county grid sometimes, where an employee who actually gets paid overtime or gets compensated for the overtime, where a manager might not get anything, that person will actually make more money than their manager. And it begs the question, why would you ever want to be a manager then if you could make more money as the employee? So that's another reason why you lift the whole grid with the COLA.
And then if there is no COLA increase, say for 5 years, and all you're doing is performance increase, does your band hold long enough for that?
So our band is 5 steps, and then you reach merit pay. So after you've been at the county for 5 years, then every year, based on your performance assessment, if you achieved your goals and objectives for the year, you would be awarded your merit pay. And that's usually based on a 25, 50, 75, or 100% sort of scale. Say, you know, if you had half your goals, you would get 50% of your merit pay. If you achieved all your goals, you get 100% of your merit pay. And that's just a 3% of the job rate.
I know nowadays a lot of people are doing COLA.
Yep.
Because of the way it is. But back in the day, there was never such a thing as COLA. Or there was, but nobody used it. They just did the performance increases. So that has to stay within the band, right? How much do accurate job descriptions and pay scales mean to a successful corporation?
I'd say today, more than ever, it's important in terms of recruiting folks. The market is very tight for employees. We ourselves feel that all the time. We watch our staff, and I'm sure we see across the whole county where one municipality ends up poaching the staff of another municipality, and really the only difference is they've offered even more money than the previous municipality. And we've seen cases where someone will jump from this city to the town and then back to the city, and over a short period of time, all because money is changing. And, you know, one of the things that in the back of our minds in the HR department we think about is, boy, people are making these decisions to increase people's pay without necessarily looking at the long-term impact or making sure that they're pay equity compliant today, because if you just go and like, wow, we really need a treasurer and we're going to pay whatever it takes to get one, because to maintain pay equity and equity, it's all based on points. If you go and you inflate the value of the points for the treasurer by $25,000 more, everyone above that position that's worth more points in value than the treasurer should be on a regression analysis, which is like a line of best fit, should be paid commensurately more. So that's in the back of our mind all the time when we see people doing it, and we're like, we understand why people are doing it, because you need a body in the seat, and it's a competitive market, but there's going to be there's unintended consequences. So ensuring that everything's kept compliant is good, while also making sure you're market competitive to ensure you can attract qualified candidates.
2 more questions. What happens if one pay scale is higher than what council's expecting? Does it throw all the other, and it throws all the other pay scales out throughout the whole corporation? And I think that's what you just alluded to.
It can. Yeah, so that essentially to maintain pay equity, essentially a graph that says, for 100 points it's worth $20,000 salary, for 200 points it's worth $30,000. So to keep that line going through, if you end up at the 50 should be $50,000, but you're actually paying that person $70,000, you skewed the line now. And in order to make sure people stay either on the line or above the line for pay equity, or even to maintain equity, you don't want to. You want to make sure your points stay right within the sort of the bands.
So we updated job description, we send it to you, we receive a pay scale or points. The scale comes back higher, so higher or lower than what council expects. Do we reduce or increase the job description?
The correct answer is that the point should reflect what the job description is. So you should never either, and we use this at the county all the time as an example, you should never make the job description for a person. You should make the job based on what the position needs, and based on the merits there of the position, it will determine the number of points appropriately using the tool. It shouldn't be, you should never force it to do something.
So basically the job description dictates the pay scale.
Correct.
I have one quick question. Just want to clarify. So you have a 5-year pay scale.
Yeah.
No merit increases during that time. Only your steps.
Only your steps.
Okay.
Yeah.
No merit increases only after they reach the job grade.
Steps are all 3%, and
Yeah.
it's 3% at the end, so
Yeah.
it's almost identical in terms of percentage, but we don't.
I get it, but you don't get your 3% in your second year, and you're
Not
awesome, so you get more.
Your awesome gets you to move from one step to the next step,
Yeah,
and then once you're at the top, awesome gets you your merit.
got it. Thanks.
That's awesome. Anybody have anything else? Well, thank you very much.
You. If anyone has any questions after the fact, if you let Tammy know, she can be in touch and I can answer any questions that you've got.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion for the minutes.
Moved by Ted Brown, second by Harold Levine, motion to approve the minutes of the regular council meeting of February 20th, 2024, open and closed session.
Questions or discussion? All those in favor? Carried.
Moved moved by Carl Keel, second by Ted Brown. Motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of February 5th, 2024, open session.
Questions or discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Okay, everybody okay with those meetings? You saw the one in red Tammy put in today? Finance meeting? Dean?
Okay, so regular road maintenance continues. We do a lot of coal patching with the weather. So we do the coal patching, equipment checks, grading a lot as well, brushing. So the frost is really coming out of some of the roads now, and some of them are, as you know, probably are getting a little muddy. So just want to council on with that. Last week's windstorm, we had roughly estimated 20 trees down. It was spread out all over the municipality. It wasn't just in one area, it was all different areas of the municipalities. So we had those cleaned up. In front of you here, there's, I guess Tammy had got Tammy was talking to me this morning, I guess, yesterday morning, I guess, regarding potholes there across from Mill Street Apartments. If you take a look there, to the right, there's that snowbank, and it's just water there, and there's one little one, not a very big one, to the back on the right-hand side. But if you continue on, so 31 is up sort of Mill Street Apartments, and 32 is where the vault is. We only own 20, where it says 22 up there where the little, where our hydrant is. That's the only section we do to the railroad tracks. So then if you turn to the last page and look on the very bottom, where it says owner and tenant, it's actually the Killaloe Area Vault Society. So what we do with that, and we've been doing it since I've been here, we've been plowing it, just in good faith for the vault. And then when you do get a chance, we do plow the parking lot, because it doesn't really make sense, so we plow the parking lot. But as for potholes and that, I think maybe one time when Mill Street was getting paved, I think they might have asked somebody on the paving crew that whenever they're bringing gravel, if they could have a little bit there. But other than that, I don't remember anything being done with potholes there at all. Because you start doing potholes and maybe end up doing dust there, and then where does it stop? It's not even our property, technically. We just do it in good faith.
Where the potholes are is not township property, right?
So I just want to know direction, what council wants to continue plowing it for, like, in good faith for the vault.
I think we should, just also because the hydrant's there and if it's plowed, it really makes it better accessible for
No,
fire. But I agree with you, that's not our property, we can't start doing work on it, because we start doing work on that, then
There's other properties. There's lots of properties.
I know, right, there's some
driveway
hot ones
ones
that we
where-
do own.
Were they asking us to fix the potholes? Is that the,
I presume.
Yeah, a person called and talked about the potholes in
Who
his
was the
parking lot.
person?
Kath Marion, so that was part of the people at the church. Anyways, so, and under her impression that she felt that the township owned that land. I didn't know.
Yeah.
But now this clearly marks out who owns, who doesn't own, so there's a good answer.
Remember they had the big pine tree across by the Anglican church there,
Yeah.
and they're after the township to cut it down. And then we went through all the stuff and we don't own the land, so.
So that's, but yeah, me personally, I don't think we should be filling potholes in other properties.
Okay, so we do have a resolution for the public works and waste management position.
Moved by Bill Smith, second by Harold Levine, the council for the corporation of the township of Curlew, Hagerty, hereby approves the hiring of Mr. O'Neill Organ for the position of Public Works Waste Management Attendant effective March 25th, 2024.
Any questions or discussion? All those in favor? Carried.
So we just had a little bit here of waste management. We had the loader that was usually stays at the landfill there, we had it at the shop for a while, it was leaking some fluids and stuff like that, so we had to take it back there, so it was kinda hard for the guys to, clean up or up around there without the loader, but they've been picking papers and up, so picking papers and everything up there, so we should have the loader back tomorrow. We're gonna be bringing this to the finance meeting, if the loader at the landfill will need some repairs. I got a price from that today, that's around $9,000. I'll bring this to the finance meeting, we can discuss it more in depth there, but I just thought that council know. And the cardboard compactor too will need some work done on it too. Other than that, that's it for my report.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Dean? Well, they feel sorry for you tonight. Good night.
Yeah, good night.
See you, council.
So you're not feeling well, or you're just upset over the game yesterday?
I didn't even watch it.
Yeah.
Alright, see you.
See you, Dean.
See ya.
Get better.
Thanks.
Tim?
Okay, I just wanted to let council know that both myself and bylaw officer Tyler Massey attended a short-term accommodation meeting arranged by the Township of Laurentian Valley at the county to discuss issues and concerns with short-term rentals. And once we receive a report, it's going to be provided. So once we receive that, we'll pass it along to council. There's a lot of municipalities that are moving forward with the licensing and I guess the whole policy and procedure around short-term rentals. So once we get all of that compiled, then we'll be able to share with all of councils what other municipalities are doing in that area. I got a request today from MP Cheryl Gallant's office, and they're asking to use the council chambers on Tuesday, July 25th from 12 to 4. So that's something we normally do every year, so that's the date, and so I'm just wondering if council's okay with that.
Yep.
July 25th.
Everybody okay?
Also at your desk, you'll find a recommendation from Fire Chief Bob Garrow pertaining to the hiring of Matt McCurdo for the position of probationary firefighter. And if council is in agreement with Fire Chief Garrow's recommendation, I prepare a resolution.
And can we hear that resolution?
Moved by Ted Brown, second by Maureen McMillan, that council for the corporation of the Township of Killoughby, Haggerty and Richards hereby approves the hiring of Mr. Matt McCurdo as a probationary firefighter effective March 5th, 2024.
Any questions or discussion? All those in favor? Carried.
Also, at your desk, you'll see I've provided you with a revised copy of the Community Development Coordinator job description. If you hadn't had time to review it, if you wouldn't mind. I also did provide the employment opportunity ad that I would like to post. And then if council's in agreement, then I would like direction just to be able to post the position in the papers, Eatonville Leader and Valley Gazette for 2-week period, OB Jobs, and on our social media platforms.
Let's do the county. Yeah.
What was that, Marie?
The county advertise, I didn't know the county actually did that, so that would be good. Oh, perfect.
So I know this is the first time everyone's looking at it. Do you feel you need a couple weeks to look at this, to review it?
We gotta get on this.
Get her
We
done.
need somebody here now. We don't have time to wait.
So,
Do you have a motion?
I don't, it's just direction, just to.
so I just want to read something to you.
Mhm.
As you, are you prepared to push this through and advertise the job even though There has been no discussion or direction given at the committee level or council level. There's no pay scale right now. A few of us have volunteered our time to help Tammy bring this document forward, but again, there has been no collective discussion. In my opinion, I do not think we are ready to advertise. Priorities of the job have been reprioritized. There's no pay scale. Things may have been added or taken out that you are not aware of. After reading and reviewing and thinking about it, you may have questions. We have to get this right. So that's my opinion. Anybody have any discussion on that?
But if we keep delaying this, we got the Irish crowd in coming, and we got everything else, and we got no one in line to get into the rhythm of things to get stuff done.
So I will say Tammy did come to the table and has compared this with like job descriptions from around other economic development officers, community development officers. Bill, myself, and Dave sat down with Tammy, went over it step by step, you know, like line by line, agreed that it was a good job, just, you know, agreed that it was all good, it was kind of what we're looking for. I think the modifications are mostly that it's more of a economic development lens versus a community, so it's not a elevated party planner, it's actually getting somebody in this job who's going to promote our township, who's going to write grants, who's going to promote us online and get businesses into our township, which is what we're really lacking. Is that a good summary?
I'd say so, and
Yeah.
in addition to that, or to really make sure that the person knows that the focus is on economic development, we put that right up at the top of the job description, we put the party planning, as Maureen referred to it, down, as the last thing, not taking it out, it's all still in there, but.
It's not like the first priority is like actually, yeah,
The priorities have been adjusted.
they've kind of been changed a little bit, so.
So that's why
we'll see.
my thought was that there's 4 of you that haven't, this is the first time you've seen it. And if, as Bill and Maureen have said, that this now takes the direction of an economic development person, as opposed to, what's your phrase?
Party planner,
Party.
an event. It's
So
still
my
important,
question
the events
is,
are still important, they're still,
You have looked at it as a committee,
No,
right?
no.
well, we volunteered our time, we weren't
Okay.
officially a committee, but we did volunteer our time to come in and look at it.
Which,
Yeah. Cause we didn't wanna have the expense of a
yeah.
committee meeting.
I think it
But,
is,
so if this was in a committee meeting, you would have been the committee,
Oh, and Brian.
And
Brian.
And Brian,
I think if you guys
And
agree
these
with
are
it, then
recommending
you're-
it, just as if it was in a committee, so.
I mean,
I'm comfortable recommending it.
and so am I think it's,
Okay.
I think it's a great, yeah, I think it's great.
I have a question on the, where it says compensation, 45 to 58,000 annually. And then in brackets, currently under review. So is this the old, is that our
That's
old?
the old rate.
So
And
that's
so
it.
now, if council approves this, I was already talking to Mr. Belmore already, so he's also already aware that if council does approve this, moving forward with this job description, I will be emailing it to him. He's going to score it, which then we have time to, before we even start the interviews, to discuss pay, according to what the score is and what it ends up in the pay equity scale.
Yeah, because that was one of the issues that we had, I think, was
no, baby.
the pay, yeah.
Look, just so you're aware, this job description is pretty power packed. Like, it's a very powerful job description. So when they regrade this, you may be surprised to see the rate that comes back. But then again, we have a decision at that point too, if we want to accept it or not. So, but that's why I'm thinking that until we see that number, that may help us make the decision.
Yeah, if we see the number or not, we're still gonna have to
I mean,
hire someone.
We're going to
That's
prove
the
it
problem.
whether that number jumps or not, because we need a person.
No
in my
question.
opinion. I see where you're going from, and I appreciate
They could come back with 125,000 a year or
And
something.
we don't have to accept that.
that. Sure.
Okay, but I'm laying all the cards out on the table, so everyone,
Just to clarify, what they come back with is a number of points, and a number of points that are in relation to what Tammy's job is, and Dean's job is, and
Yeah.
Nathan's job.
I
They don't come back with a salary.
Yeah.
I went,
They just come back with a point, so,
years ago, I went through pay equity, I think for 4 or 5 months with this numbers, with,
yeah, exactly, so.
no, this is a good discussion to have, because we gotta lay everything out on the table, so that everyone's aware. We're going down this road, and this is an important job,
well,
because we are changing directions on this job.
put it this way, we gotta get her done.
Yes, that's obvious, we know that, but we're going a different direction, so. Everyone, okay, so, show of hands to go ahead.
And that's all I have for open. I have just a couple things unclosed.
Anybody have
Just
any?
one question, if I could, on your first thing there, Tammy, on the licensing, the short-term rentals or whatever.
Yes.
Does that include bed and breakfast? Is that in that
Yeah.
same thing?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking?
It's short-term rentals, Airbnbs,
Okay. Yeah, I just, yeah, good, thank you.
Does anybody have anything in committee reports that they want to bring up?
Tammy said she did.
well,
No,
community of the
in
whole.
committee.
Oh, committees, yes, sorry.
Okay, let's go through the correspondence. First one's Township of Perry, request to amend the Blue Box regulation. Tammy, did you want to speak on that, or?
No, I do have a resolution though. Moved by Harold Levine, second by Bill Smith, that council for the township of Killu, Hagerty, and Richards hereby supports the resolution from the township of Perry regarding the request to the province to amend the Blue Box regulation for ineligible sources. And further, that this resolution in support be circulated to the Honourable the Fourth Premier of Ontario, the Honourable Andrea Kangin, Minister of Environment, Conservation and Parks, the Honourable John Yakubuski, NTP, Renfrew, Nipissing, Pembroke, and to all 44 municipalities in Ontario. So the ineligible sources are things that, if you look at the actual resolution, it identifies what they are. And the new Blue Box pickup that is happening to make the business is responsible for, the producer is responsible for what they're packaging their products in. Doesn't relate to a commercial, doesn't relate to certain items. So we would still have to continue to pick that up. So we are in talks right now, and we are going to be, in 2025, we will be, July 1st, I believe, we will be transitioning. And so some things we will still have to pick up like we do. So Darren and Robert will still have to pick up some of those spots that they don't provide. So this is why it's just not us that is having this, it's other bigger municipalities that are facing the ineligible sources. So they're basically saying, why are they only picking up certain things when they're not picking up everything that we pick up?
Thank you for the explanation, because that's not what I thought it was. So, okay.
So, any other questions? All those in favor? Okay.
It's funny how you can read something different into the way they write those.
Well, Tammy was at the Blue Box seminar last Roma, right? And that, you said that was really a good one to be at. So, the next one, the Canadian Police Association, for their magazine.
No one signed it.
There is a resolution. Does anybody have any questions? Vote?
And you have to,
Oh.
I don't know what, for the cost of,
Oh,
the cost estimate.
donation of $258.
But it's not, it's, you can
Okay.
give a donation of $258, a listing of $258, and then you've got, 1/10 page at $388, so council has to decide what to put into the resolution.
I see.
I think we have better things to spend our money on.
Sounds like a reject.
Not
Five.
carried.
Mhm.
I'll still read the resolution out.
Okay.
And you don't have to choose to carry it. So moved by well, I still need our cost in there.
I do the cheapest one.
288,
258?
258.
Back cover 3,600.
Moved by Dave Mayville, second by Harold Levine, that council for the township of Killeen, Hagerty, and Richards hereby approves the purchase of a participation offer from the Canadian Police Association publication, which is to be included within the Police Vision magazine for the cost of $258 plus applicable taxes.
Sorry, who moved it? I missed that.
No one did.
Who was the first?
I did.
Dave Mayville, second by Harold Levine.
We're filing it,
So not carried.
not carried. Next one, Autism Ontario, flying the flag. Any comments? Just file. County of Renfrew, notice of application and public meeting. Where is that one? Clarence Renfrew. What is it? Did I just read that? Clarence,
Pardon, sorry?
Clarence Rockland, did I say that one?
No.
Clarence Rockland, 988 National Suicide and Crisis Hotline.
Is that just their number?
No, it's
It's a
the national
nationwide.
number.
And they're, what, is it being cancelled or what?
I think they just want to advertise it, it sounds like. They're just saying they've adopted, whereas recognizes it's a significant initiative, continues to endorse, and it will be displayed in all its municipal buildings.
Follow that one. Save the date, provincial day of action on litter, May 14th. The Eastern Ontario Housing Summit, I just included that in case anybody wants to attend that summit, May the 28th, 2024. The next one is the Taste of the Valley, again with information purpose, just the final report. You can look it through the attendances, it was really well attended, number of vendors, and of course it lists the dates and locations for this year.
Is that long weekend or not? Long weekend.
I think that's the weekend, is that the weekend after, September 7th?
Normally September 7th, it's the long weekend, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's the weekend after,
weekend after.
after the long weekend.
It says Killaloe Municipal Parking Lot, should it say Killaloe?
No, in the backyard.
Oh, it's here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Whatever, I think Chris had mentioned there was rules and regulations that couldn't be met in regards to station park or something. The next one is the Freshet Communication, which is from Sean Cameron. Again, that's for information purposes. And the last one is a concern in regards to the bridge being closed, again for information purposes.
It's going to be a zoo when that bridge is gone. You should have seen Lake Street today, you could hardly drive on it.
I came down there, I had to pull to the side for me to get by me.
Yeah, you know, it's just gonna be a mess.
Yeah.
I think,
It's gonna have to come down to parking on one side or no parking at all. 'Cause
But even the
there's
big
just
trucks,
no-
Ted, how are the big trucks gonna take that curve around?
Oh, they'll get around,
yeah.
but there can't be anybody parked there.
Yeah,
Anyway,
That'll be another day, like, that's.
You can come across the trestle bridge there at the park.
Okay, new business, volunteer appreciation. Bill.
that's me. I attended the Lions meeting last night and there was a discussion. We were informed that the Lions is not going to be doing the same volunteer event that they did last year, which, or for the last 2 years, which was the Best of Killaloo Awards. And instead are going for this year anyway, would like to revert and do what they had done in previous years before that, before the pandemic, which was a joint volunteer appreciation event, co-hosted by CRC, the Lions, the Friendship Club, and the municipality and the township, where we would have some kind of a low-key event. People get to invite their things. There'd be an opportunity likely for people to say a few words if they wanted to. There'd be light refreshments. And the cost for running the event would be shared between the 4 organizations. It's a low-cost event. I said I would bring it here to see if the township had any interest in participating in that event this year. We didn't set a date for it last night at the meeting, but I suspect it would be during the volunteer week, and I think that's April 21 to 25-ish, somewhere in that third, fourth week of April timeframe.
I think it's a great initiative.
Yeah.
yeah, and it's a good idea to combine them, yeah,
Teamwork,
yeah.
teamwork.
Is that a yes?
I think
Let's
it
have
is.
Do
let's
we
have a
have
vote.
someone to look after that? We don't have anyone hired for Chris's job. I think he normally did that, right? So
That's right.
who's gonna do it?
From the township?
Yeah.
Likely me. I'm a member of all 4 of those groups.
So we won't
Sounds
get
like a
mixed
good
messages.
Yeah. Okay. Probably won't cost more than $20,000 or $30,000.
No problem.
So everyone's
No.
okay with Bill
No.
being involved?
And there's already a budget line for that,
Yeah.
so we can discuss that March 18th.
Okay, that's good. No, for the people watching at home, it would be a very minimal cost, likely in the range of $100. per
So
organization.
again, is everybody okay with it?
Yep.
These 3?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
And the other item under new business is fireworks. A request from Bob. He's getting pressured by the supplier as far as the fireworks. We have done this in the past. And there was, half was paid last year. Paid January 23. And the remainder still needs to, so there's 3 options. Any suggestions from anyone as far as?
I say we go back to the way we used to do them, option 1.
Yeah,
The way
option
it
one.
always
Yeah,
was
it's
done.
cheapest one going.
Yep,
One
Everybody
year
good?
we went overboard because it was Canada's
Birthday.
whatever birthday it was, and
Option one.
I don't think we should be doubling up because we didn't spend last year. I think we just keep going the way we go.
So basically what it's gonna cost us this year then is 7,000,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
yeah, we can't afford to, it wouldn't be fiscally responsible to do anything.
Well, we have already paid last year's,
We
right?
paid half.
Half
So
of it.
7,900 we've
Oh,
paid.
okay, yeah, right,
So this year's still cost us like $7,000.
yeah.
That's what it was.
And option 1 is still, like, it's still a good show. It's not as if you're being cheated. Like, people will still come and watch.
Best fireworks in the valley, I hear.
I hear them. I don't see them.
Resolution.
My dog
The
hears
next
them.
thing is, Bob's also inquiring is if council would like it to still be a standalone in the village of Killaloe or to separate it between Killaloe and Round Lake.
Yeah, but around Lake, we have to get the barge set up, and you know how expensive that was. What was it, 5 or 7 grand for this barge?
Yeah, and the only reason why Bob is asking is because we had to cancel 2023, council had discussions about having an extravaganza,
No.
and then that's where he's asking for the direction, to be able to move forward. So the resolution I have it prepared is moved by Maureen McMillan, second by Bill Smith. Be it resolved that Council of the Corporation of the Township of Killoughby, Hagerty, and Richards approves the cost of $14,000 plus HST for the 2024 fireworks, and further that Council of the Corporation of the Township of Killoughby, Hagerty, and Richards directs that the fireworks display be a standalone show in the village of Killoughby.
Any questions? All those in favor? Carried.
We still on new business?
Sure.
I just wanna put a shout out to Terry Fleury. I don't know if anybody noticed the Lakeville Leader 2 weeks ago under the 25 year. He has his 25 years in with Lakeville Leader, so
Wow.
congratulations to Terry.
Who was home tonight sick?
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any new business? Motion to go into committee of the whole.
Moved by Ted Brown, second by Maureen McMillan. Be it resolved that council move into a closed meeting pursuant to section 239 of the Municipal Law 2001 as amended for the following reasons: labor relations and employee negotiations. And personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees.
All those in favor? Carried.
Not done, they're
been directed to take care of matters that were discussed in committee of the whole. And motion to further confirm the bylaw.
Moved by Ted Brown, second by Maureen McMillan, that bylaw number 01/2024 being abolished, confirming proceedings of council of the Township of Killarney, Haggerty, Richards at its regular meeting held on March 5th, 2024, be given its first, second, and third reading and finally passed this 5th day of March 2024.
All those in favor? Carried. And now we have the motion for adjournment. Mr. Smith?
Moved by Bill Smith, second by Maureen
get rid of
McMillan,
that.
motion to adjourn the regular council meeting of March 5th, 2024, for the Township of Killarney, Haggerty, and Richards.
All those in favor? Carried.